Hello everybody, welcome back to my television review series. Today we'll be discussing Power Season 6. So Starz original, co-produced, starring 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, popular American rapper. Sixth and final season. Try to Google it to see if the show is canceled after Season 6, before Season 6. Again, for the rating, I like to see if they plan to wrap up the show or if they just wrapped up the show after, without the intending to cancel the show. So couldn't get a definitive answer on that. But you know how we do. I'll give you my overall impressions and grade. If you have not seen the show and would like to, past that there will be spoiler alerts, so you will want to shut off the video. Then we'll be discussing plot synopsis and character development. Major themes, ? Nah, pretty standard crime drama. So, what do I think overall? In comparison to the other seasons, I thought the front half of the season actually moved along well. I thought the back half of the season did the opposite. Because at the end of season 5, we ended with Angela getting killed, and that's really, we're trying to figure out who killed Angela. We're trying to solve all of these murders. We still just have kind of crime groups and FBI agents, and so nothing super novel in the plot development or characterizations. Again, I think overall the characterizations were all right. There were some off-putting characters in this one. Paz Valdez was definitely off-putting. We'll get to why. I don't want to give away the spoilers. In the intro, she had an episode which was barely sufferable, but she was off-putting. The relationship between Tommy and Lakeisha Grant was off-putting this season, and there was a lot of screaming. Again, we had a lot of sex scenes in season 1, season 2, season 6. We kind of picked up with a little more sex scenes again, kind of after taking a break through seasons 3 to 5. But in characterizations, I liked Agent Cooper Sachs. I thought he was fun throughout. I thought Tommy was fun throughout, and I thought Kanan was fun throughout. Everybody else was, again, not off-putting. Kate Egan was a little bit off-putting. Lakeisha Grant, once she was in a relationship with Tommy, was pretty off-putting. And Paz Valdez was certainly off-putting when she's screaming for an entire episode. So there's a lot of the insecurities in the characterizations where they're screaming or this or that is always off-putting. But in terms of the actual development of the crime drama, I thought it was entertaining, in the entertaining range. A lot of political stuff this season, and again, fictional political strategy makes me want to off myself as fast as possible. So that's like negative infinite in terms of the entertainment value, and there's a lot of that. And the season is overall longer. It was 15 episodes at 10 hours, or an hour apiece, so it was a long season. So I thought it could have been shorter. And the plot development was pretty solid, but I just think it could have been quicker, rapido. But past that, again, some off-putting characters, nothing super novel or unique with the characterization or character arc or development. Again, that's the final season. Again, you have Angela Valdez kind of turning from, a police officer to kind of working for the criminals, and Joe Proctor kind of turning his characterization, and Tariq kind of changing his characterization. It all kind of went slow. So I think you could have done the story with less episodes. So overall for season 6, because of the screaming, a lot of political stuff, and just nothing super novel or unique. Again, the characterizations are kind of weighing me at this point. I'm glad to have this to be the last season. So I'll give overall for season 6, I will give season 6 a C for the reasons stated, and the overall season I will give a B-. Certainly thought it was entertaining. This season I thought was a little too long, and some off-putting things. So if you've not seen the show and would like to, I definitely think that overall it's entertaining. If you're watching a season 6 review, you've certainly seen the show. So, and I give season 6 a C. So now spoilers will ensue. So you start off again. We're trying to figure out who kills Angela. I'm sure I'm going to miss some major developments because it's such a long season. But basically, again, at this stage, the relationship is Tasha, James, and Tommy, who again were all day one friends. James obviously just recently split up from Tasha. They all really kind of fracture this season. They pretty much go against each other. So that's kind of where it's at, and all of the law enforcement agents are still chasing their careers and trying to prosecute the bad guys. And so, again, nothing super novel or unique, but just the actual crime development was decent. So you start off, I think the first kind of big thing that happens is, I don't know exactly, but Andre Coleman, again, he is in witness protection from his crew and Tommy's crew, and he's kind of working with Alicia Jimenez, and he gets picked up, and the Jimenez cartel sends a hit crew after Coleman, and the FBI agents, they kill most of the cartel hitmen besides Agent Donovan, and so it's pretty much just the FBI agents have been laid out, the cartel members are all dead, and Agent Donovan's like severely wounded, and Andre's just sitting there like, what do I do? Kills Agent Donovan and then goes on the run. So very quickly, Andre's back on the street. In season 6, he has some relationship with Tariq. Tariq goes to a school called Choate, which is, I can't stop thinking about Chode, but it's Choate, Choat. So he starts selling drugs a little bit there. There's another chick there that's, again, like spying on him for a little bit about, he ends up getting kicked out of school for selling weed there. But he steals from Tommy's supply. That doesn't go well. He is also working with Vincent. I don't know if I have him up here, but Vincent and the Italian families, the mob people, families in this show. Again, there's 2 of them. They play minor roles. Vincent's crew kind of plays a major one. But Tariq is like supplying Vincent. I just thought it was like weird. It's like a 15, 16-year-old that stole drugs once from a drug warehouse is now the supplier for a drug family. For the mob, and that seemed kind of weak for me. But anyway, that's what happens, and Tariq ends up splitting he cuts the pills. He basically says, here's MDMA, and gives them sugar cubes or something. And so Vincent has Tariq goes Vincent big, and to pay him back. This was a decent plot development because you don't really realize it's a setup until later in the episodes. But Tariq has Vincent fake kidnap him. Now Vincent's actually going to kill him after he gets the money, but Tariq's plan to pay back Vincent from scamming him on drugs is to have Vincent kidnap Tariq, and then James and Tommy come together to pay Vincent money, and then Tariq's going to get a cut of the money after he pays off Vincent with interest. But Vincent's just going to get the money and kill them both. And so that goes on for a little bit. James and Tommy are at each other's throat right off the beginning. Tommy's still working at this point with Jason Mičić, the Serbian people, which interesting when I'm ripping off in Cyrillic these days, sometimes if I type sounds, it says dude typing from Serbian. So I don't know if the fucking random accents I hear on the TV of whatever show I'm watching influences my derivation. But regardless, Tommy tells Jason, James won't be an issue. James sits on Jason's warehouse and Tommy's warehouse, and James sees Tommy's Mustang, shoots it up, thinks he's killed Tommy, but it was really one of Jason's guys pulling the car around. When they go to Angela's funeral, James sees that his Tommy is not dead, and so that happens within the first 2-3 episodes. They go to the funeral. Paz Valdez again has his cell phone where she finds where she has some interaction with Tasha either in this season or season 5, where Paz buries a cell phone with Angela in the coffin or in the casket. So at the funeral, James learns Tommy's not dead, and Tommy, and Tommy's crew is pretty much Black Grimace, Spanky, 2-Bit, and Poncho this season. He kills Poncho pretty quickly, and Poncho just talks up one day and Tommy just whacks him. So again, typically for crime shows, the things that really, or any characterization that really throws me is, again, aggressive, emotional scenes where they're all screaming, you're all tense the entire fucking time. That's why I really enjoyed Mr. In-Between. It was the exact opposite. But that is a net negative. But I typically the characterization would be more serious. But I thought actually Tommy's character worked well, where he's a serious hitman or enforcer or a drug dealer. But he always has all these lines like, "I'm gonna cancel Christmas on your ass." He has another one where after because he's the one that killed Angela, and Paz is like, "Tommy, you gotta go. You gotta tell me who killed my sister." He's like, "Oh yeah, definitely can't do that one." So Tommy has these lines in there that I thought were actually genuinely funny, and typically I don't like comedy in crime shows. Same thing with Cooper Sacks. I think Cooper Sacks might be my favorite in terms of the writing of the lines. He had a bunch of stuff that just made me laugh throughout. So anyway, he whacks Poncho somewhere throughout, but his crew is Black Grimace, 2-Bit, Spanky, and Poncho, and he's getting supplied by Jason Mičić. So Tariq sets up this thing to get fake kidnapped. And they do that. What ends up happening there? So basically, they get together the money. They sell a bunch of drugs really fast, and then as they're going to give the money, they need $2 million for Vincent. But as they're going to deliver the money, James and Tommy, they get robbed by Jason Mitchell, who takes half the money. And so after that, they set up like this fake robbery where they have all these important people as nightclub. I mean, there's a ton of Councilman Tate this season, which again was extremely off-putting to me. Don't have him up here. But they have this big event where they're going to set up a robbery at the Truth nightclub with a bunch of these wealthy donors. So they do that where James and Tommy, they set up a robbery crew, which is basically Tommy's crew, which comes in and robs everybody. There was one guy, like the dude that was kind of with Councilman Tate throughout the season 5 of the minor role. He like stays back and like just like tries to hype it up, and then Tate ends up killing that guy. So Tate shoots a guy in the nightclub during a fake robbery. They get the rest of the money. They go deliver it to Vincent, again the Italian people. And it's not sure I think the dude named Benny who played Herc was definitely the character that played Herc in The Wire. But he's also like I think it's definitely looks like a Pollock to me. But regardless, I think he's playing like another mob family in addition to Vincent's mob family. And so again, this is in New York. And so once they deliver the money to Vincent, and Vincent's clearly going to kill James, Tommy, and Tariq, Benny and his crew pull up, and it's just like if you do anything to them, you're gonna have a war with our crew. So that's pretty much the introduction to their crew. They don't play a major or minor role. Benny is looking for who killed Joe. I don't know if we even got to that part yet, but Tommy is set out against Joe Proctor this season. Joe Proctor, Cooper Sachs plants like a recording device on Joe Proctor's daughter to hopefully get him colluding with St. Patrick. Joe Proctor's wife, who's trying to take the daughter from Joe, whose name is Elisa Marie. She's again a cocaine addict. She's trying to get at the bar. Joe like fakes this, and Joe wants her to relapse so he can just get sole custody. He plants cocaine, or gives the mom cocaine, and then like gives a fake letter saying that she didn't pass the bar test. She overdoses on cocaine. He calls her, or she calls him. He comes over. She's right in the middle of like overdosing, and he just lets her die. So the recording device on the backpack has evidence that Joe lets his wife die. Later in the season, Tommy's out for Joe. He's gonna kill him. So Tariq helps Tommy set up Joe. Joe's like staying at James's penthouse, which you need like an elevator and clearance codes to get up there. So Joe is staying there. Tariq lets him in the back door, takes Elisa Marie to go get hot cocoa, and then Tommy comes in with a big stick and starts spraying. So Joe tells you, like during a gunfight, Joe gets to a little safe room for a little bit, tells Elisa to get to Uncle Benny, and Joe and Benny are cousins, and so then Tommy kicks down the door and kills Joe. So Joe dies midway through the season. Again, Tommy and Lakeisha are shacked up. Lakeisha kills a guy that they think is sent from James to kill Tommy or Lakeisha, but it wasn't. It was from, I think it was Andre or somebody else. What else? Let's just show them still rolling. So once, another big thing, Tommy's crew gets busted this season. And so basically they pick up once, again, because Andre Coleman, he kills Donovan in the early episodes. Then he gets like re-picked up by the feds. Then he like agrees to be a witness, and then he like runs away. And so he's like he gets in and out of custody a couple times throughout the season. And so for whatever reason, he has an ankle monitor. We're supposed to track or get something on James St. Patrick. But they get an address to Tommy's warehouse. So Andre sets up Tommy, who happens just to not be there. So Tommy's crew, 2-Bit, Spanky, and Black Grimace think it's Tommy that sets him up. Well, Black Grimace dies right before this, so they're supposed to whack Andre Coleman, and 2-Bit and Spanky go out for something. Black Grimace is supposed to watch him. Andre's like, you guys are gonna kill me. Please let me call my daughter, and takes BG's gun and shoots him in the head and escapes again. So Andre kills Black Grimace. The rest of the crew gets picked up, when in reality it's Andre Coleman who's given away James, Tommy. He's kind of like the snake guy. Again, he was like the one that was really trying to come up in the drug game throughout the previous seasons. And so BG dies. Next kind of big thing is Andre tries to like blackmail Ghost for some money. He needs to get out of town. He's gotten a lot of shootouts, and so him and his girl, you meet her for the first time. He's got a daughter named Heaven and some chick from London, and so they're basically going to get some money. James says he'll give them $250,000. Again, they're all intertwined in crime activity, so they're all just trying to like save each other's skin or save their own asses. It wasn't off-putting for a crime show, but it just wasn't novel or unique in any way. But so James, he says he's going to do that, and then James sets up. He calls the police. So he kills Jason Mitchell before then. So James plans to. He needs to kill Jason Mitchell to get. James is still trying to get completely out of the drug game. Tommy's just like doing his thing, and James plans to kill Jason so Tommy doesn't have a connect or whatever. And so he fakes that he was going to buy a building with Jason. He strangles him. Tommy was supposed to plant a gun. Tommy didn't. Jason had like some, I don't know, crime boss thread thing to strangle people if you can't have a weapon. And so James gets the drop on Jason, strangles Jason, and tells Andre to come meet him there before about money, or maybe about money before the $250, and he basically pays off the security guy to keep the security tape and blame Andre for killing Jason. So Jason gets killed. The Serbs are now out of the scene for the most part. They do get in one more shootout with Andre's crew, and Andre's whole crew gets wiped out. But that was a quick development. But Andre actually gets away from the scene. Again, it's like Jason Mitchell is like killed on the roof of this big building, and the cops are coming. Somehow he gets away, but the security guard has the tape, and so James, Andre and Tariq again have interactions. That's kind of where Tariq gets some of his drugs if he's not stealing it from Tommy's warehouse. And basically Tariq brings in Andre to James. James is like, okay, I'll give you $250. Meet me here in an hour. And he calls police in him and has the security guy release the tape. So Andre gets picked up again for killing Jason Mitchell. And so he gets pinned again, and I think gets out again, but just trying to get James the whole time. He ends up dying at the end. We'll get to that. Next major thing is Lakeisha Grant. Again, I thought the romances in this show was weak to me. It's like Tommy's madly in love with Holly. Now he's madly in love with Lakeisha for like 5 minutes. And they their history, they've the lifelong friends. But I just thought the convincing nature of the romance relationships in this show was rather weak. And so Lakeisha was rather off-putting this season. But regardless, she's Tommy's ride or die. Lakeisha once goes killed. Again, they always go back and forth. But basically, Lakeisha gets pulled over by Child Services. She signs some papers. James sends Tasha over, and James and Tasha are not on good terms at all this season. To Lakeisha basically say, you can't screw us over. Tasha goes over there, sees Lakeisha had signed some papers because she got pulled over in Child Protective Services. We're going to take her kid. So they wrestle for a gun, and Tasha whacks Lakeisha. So Lakeisha's now dead. What else happens? A lot of stuff. Honestly, Agent Blanca Rodriguez is not trying to be like rude to the actresses, but her and Agent Tamika Robinson, I think, it's Tamika and Blanca were like their voices were just like they're like bad cast members. Their voices were just like a little annoying. Just having the delivery of their lines was just kind of strange. But so after that, you have James and Tommy. They meet back up. And they're calling who's killed who killed this, who set up who, and they start getting fired upon. And so you don't really realize who that is till later on in the season. And so they kill one of these dudes. I think it was Cedric the Entertainer, but he was in there for a brief cameo. But that's kind of what happens. Again, they're always the Lobos murder, Mike Sandoval, Angela. They're all Terry Silva, the lawyer from last season. Tasha tries to set up James. James again hits Tasha a couple times, gets physical with her. Tariq and Tasha are kind of like on the same team. Everybody else is kind of like on a free for all. What else happens? I don't know. The head FBI dude's Jacob Warner, I believe. Again, a lot of political nonsense to me. There's a couple Democratic. This person, Ramona Garrity, she's like running Councilman Tate's thing. Ramona and James kind of have like a romance or not, but a lot of political stuff. But Vincent's not dead, so we killed that guy. What happens next? I don't really know. Let's just where I thought probably about 2/3 way through the season, James St. Patrick gets killed. And so he gets shot, and then the show kind of, it basically becomes like a murder mystery, or like backfilling the details of the plot. And so once James gets killed around episode, I don't know, it was like 7, 8, or 9, which was just extremely off-putting to me. I had to watch like 2 or 3 sections, because it was all like from political maneuvering and just a lot of screaming, and the characterizations were really bad. So like the crime development I thought was rather good in the B+ range throughout through episodes 7 to 8, and episode 8 or 9 just really was just like strange to me. But regardless, James gets killed around episode 9 or 10. He gets killed in Truth Nightclub. In the episode previous to him getting killed, you see Paz Valdez. She's mad that Angela's not been avenged. You have Councilman Tate, who again, they have some beef over the political stuff. You have Tasha St. Patrick. You have Tariq St. Patrick. You have Tommy Egan. You have Blanca Rodriguez with an arrest warrant. Everybody else has guns, and they're all like converging on Truth. And so it's like after like episode 9 or 10, it's almost like a murder mystery to who killed James. And to me, that was just weak. Again, that could work. I remember that I watched a movie. I don't remember if I liked it or not, but it was called like Vantage Point. We're just like the same thing, but from a lot of different perspectives. This one didn't work for me. Again, for a crime drama, I just want something new to develop in the plot. So once that happens, you actually see a lot of the same scenes again. And so I just thought this didn't work for this show. But that's what ends up happening. And so you have a whole episode where Paz Valdez, she's just like screaming. That was extremely, extremely off-putting. Spanky and 2-Bit are in jail. Spanky gets out, you rats. Tommy whacks Spanky. 2-Bit stays in jail. Well, I guess before Spanky and 2-Bit, or before Tommy kills Spanky, 2-Bit and Spanky kill Andre in jail. So after like the 2 or 3rd time Andre goes back to jail, they basically just light him on fire. So he dies. You have another like scene. I like the only scene of like the murder mystery type of flavor. I did like the Tommy character. Just the crime moved along well, but he kidnaps Elisa Marie, whacks the 2 Italian dudes watching her. Elisa Marie is Joe's son. Tommy's after the recording of him stabbing Ruiz and admitting to killing Lobos. So he whacks a couple Italian dudes there, rides around with Elisa Marie as like a kidnapped, has Kate watch her for a little bit. Elisa Marie has the recording of what was on Joe's laptop and a little locket around her neck, as well as her aunt, who's a part of the crime family. She makes another recording. And so Tariq kind of tries to cover for Andre, but Tommy gets the drop on him. Tommy and Tariq, and their relationship has been solid up until this episode, and so Tariq's pretty much separated from everyone besides Tasha. But Tommy rides around with Elisa Marie kidnapped as ransom for the recordings, ends up just like kind of letting her go. And so it's kind of just strange because he comes back later and Elisa Marie gives them both the recording. But it's not really sure why the characterization of Elisa Marie, who's I don't know, an 11, 12-year-old girl, would give away, would bond with the person that killed her dad. So again, another just strange relationship to me throughout the show. But also Benny dies. At some point, Benny learns that Tommy's the one who killed Joe. So he confronts Tommy. Tommy gets the drop on Benny, steals the knife that Benny was going to stab him with, and kills Benny. So he dies. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode where Tommy's timeline of when Ghost got killed. But basically, you do have some resolution where they were beefing the whole season, and basically they realized it was Andre was the sneaky link of setting them all up. And so Tommy rushes in, and I forget which order they go in, but Tommy sees Ghost dying, he sees who does it, but they don't show who does it. You have Again, Blanca Rodriguez going in, and then after they have Andre plant the phone of Terry Silva, they get false arrest warrants, and a lot of the law enforcement this season are pushing the boundaries. At one point, their boss, Jacob Warner, kind of lies to get an arrest warrant as well. But so all that's happening. But they have, again, Cooper Sachs goes, you learn about him like losing his career being on ice skates because of James St. Patrick. So he has a timeline in episode, and Pausal does this episode was extremely off-putting. Spanky dies. Alicia Jimenez. Okay, this was another big development from the beginning. Jason Mitchell has both Tommy and James both tasked them. Jason's got both, he's in both their pockets, basically taxing James, and James is allowed to kill Tommy if he replaces his distro, but Tommy also has to pay him. So way before they killed Jason, he tasked James and Tommy to kidnap Elisa Jimenez out of federal custody, which I thought was, again, decent entertainment value, but highly unrealistic. But regardless, they break her out. Tommy's the one that does it, brings it to Jason, and Jason just shoots her. And so after that, he's like, James and Tommy have to work together, and then they kill Jason. And so all that happens. James is now dead, and they're going through all these different timelines and backfilling some of the things. You learn that when Tommy and James were kind of talking it out or yelling at each other, accusing each other of stuff, that they start getting randomly shot on and you have no backstory of what's going on. Turns out that Councilman Tate has hitters, I guess, so he calls up some dude from the south, and I'm pretty sure Cedric the Entertainer. They're literally cutting this dude up. They kill him, they come up, and once they get up there, Tate's like, no, I don't want you to do it anymore, and they were like, no, we're here, we're going to do it, you're going to pay us. And so they go to kill James, but he's with Tommy. They start shooting on him, and I think it's a dad and his son. And so they start shooting on him. Tommy kills the dad. The son confronts Councilman Tate in his backyard, or in his brother's backyard. And Councilman Tate's brother is a police officer and shoots the other hitman that Tate had hired, but kind of tried to call off. So there's some back and forth there, but that's kind of his timeline. But that was again a question mark as who was shooting in that scene. It was just, you didn't get resolution till later. But that's what happens with him. And then pretty early on, honestly, once they start doing these alternate timelines with the same type of plot scenes, it's clearly they're just going to work up to whoever actually killed him. And very quickly it was going to be Tariq. Once that scene happened where it's like Tariq and James are like, James wants Tariq to turn himself in for the Ray Jones murder from season 5. After both Tosh and James were like, I'll take the fall for my family. And so it's very clear after that scene, it was like it's going to set up to be Tariq. And so they go through all of these different timelines, and then it turns out Tariq and Tasha plan to kill James. Tasha tries to has reservation at the last minute. Tariq pulls the trigger, he dies. James falls off the balcony of his club. You see Tommy down there looking at Tariq, and James like, no, kill him as he's dying off. Then you have Andre Coleman running out, because in his timeline, he was really just walking into the club as James gets shot. Right as Andre walks out, he punches Blanca in the face. She's there to serve the arrest warrant. Cooper Sachs is in the corner trying to run away too, because he was also going to kill James. And so it's all a converging timeline type of production, which I just didn't think it worked for me. And again, because I like the plot to develop. And if you keep losing these same scenes, and again, if it's an hour-long episode, you see 10, 15 minutes of the same scenes, it's like, come on, do something else. So I think the plot could have gone a lot faster. After James dies, you get some, Tariq has his whole inheritance, but he can't do so until he graduates college with a 3.5 GPA. Tasha gets a Simon Stern to get her a job. They plan to frame Andre for it, but Andre gets killed, so they need somebody else to blame. And so again, Tasha has a new man this season. And the development of the romance relationship I thought was extremely weak throughout the show. But she has another dude. Again, Tommy and Lakeisha are madly in love, and then Tasha and Terry Silver are madly in love, and now she has this dude named Quentin. But there's another street dude. After James breaks up with her, she starts selling drugs with Tariq out of this daycare. Basically, he has a gun and is going to frame it on Quentin. And so, in Tasha's timeline scene when they're going to kill James, he's the one that drives her there, but he has an alibi. He suspected something was up, so he walks into some store, so he's seen on camera. And then James dies. They try to blame it on Andre. Andre's dead. They try to frame Quentin. They arrest Quentin, and then the next day, Tasha and Tariq are both Tasha's going to work, and Tariq's going to school. And they busted and arrest Tasha for the death for killing James when it was Tariq. So that Tommy kind of rides off into the sunset. Agent Sachs gets his job back. Elisa's mom is dead. Oops. Elisa Maria's alive. Two Bits alive in jail. Paz is alive. Don't need to hear from her again. All the FBI people, whatever. But that is really the resolution of the show, is Tasha getting arrested and Tariq starting his life at his third college in a week. So, or in a 6-month period. So again, overall, B- for the entirety of the season or series. C flat, just C for this episode or season that was too long. The converging episode timeline didn't work for me, and plot development stopped after about episode 9 or 10. A lot of screaming, a lot of the voices. Again, Blanca Rodriguez, I just had a bad articulation for her role, along with Tamika as well. And then Lakeisha was off-putting this season. Again, none of the characterization was super good or novel or anyway, but it just, as long as the crime plot develops for a crime show, I'm pretty much entertained. And so that's really what I thought. I did like the musical score for the piece. The relationships were weak. The actual production of the violence, again, the kind of lighthearted tone of Tommy and 2-Bit and Spanky and their little crew. Again, typically I don't like comedy or just one-off, one-liner jokes are supposed to be funny and that's supposed to be a serious context. But this one worked okay for that for me. So yep, that is my thoughts for Power Season 6. Still on Hulu for about $3 a month. So I'll probably watch Under the Banner of Heaven. It's another good crime drama, more from the police or investigative standpoint. It looks like with Andrew Garfield. I like him as an actor. So I'll probably check that out. I think that was a lot shorter. I think it was 7 episodes. So this was obviously a long one, but I wanted to power through Season 6 to finish up the series. So thank you for watching my review, and I'll see you on the next one.